Hare Krishna. We continue to read from Caitanya Caritamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We are reading from Adi-Lila, chapter 5, verse 22. It's a verse from Brahma Samhita spoken by Brahmaji. I worship Govinda, the Preamable Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending cows, yielding all desires in abodes built with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. So we're going to continue reading the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We can see that Prabhupada has given us so much details in the purport. He's taken so much effort, so much time, energy to explain to us, step by step, how he is giving us this knowledge. So right now we have been hearing how the yogi can decide at the time of leaving his body, and if we are not a yogi, we won't be able to decide, and how our desires are going to affect our future body. And so we continue reading. To come to the stage of manipulating finer elements like mind, intelligence, and spirit, one needs appropriate training, an appropriate mode of life, and appropriate association. So we were hearing that to be able to choose our next destination, then it means we have to practice. Like if we have to run, the athletes, we just had the Olympic Games, so when that is their final moment, and we are all glorifying that. But did we see how much have they been practicing? How much practice did they go through to reach to this point of coming to the Olympics? The way of living, it's written, appropriate training, appropriate mode of life, appropriate association. So even in our material endeavors, it needs this training, association, the way of life. And so for spiritual life also, it's the same thing. Such training depends. So now we are speaking about, again, how do we, what will enable us to make the right decision to leave the body. Such training depends upon sincere prayers, devotional service, achievement of success in mystic perfection, and the successful merging of oneself in the activities of the soul and super soul. So the yogi, what does he do? He is achieving perfection in his mystic practice, because he's practicing that, and then also needs devotional service. Not that no bhakti is needed. No, devotional service is needed, and prayers are always very important. And then what does he do? Successful merging of oneself in the activities of the soul and super soul. Means understanding that the activity of the soul and super soul is greater than of what's happening with the body, and to be able to actually do it successfully. A gross materialist, whether he be an empiric philosopher, a scientist, a psychologist, or whatever, cannot attain such success through blunt efforts and word jugglery. So we might call ourselves different names, different designations, but if we have not done this training, then we won't be able to achieve the success. Materialists who perform yagyas or great sacrifices are comparatively better than grosser materialists who do not know anything beyond laboratories and test tubes. The advanced materialists who perform such sacrifices can reach the planet called Vaishvanara, a fiery planet similar to the sun. On this planet, which is situated on the way to Brahmalok, the topmost planet in the universe, such an advanced materialist can free himself from all traces of vice and its effects. When such a materialist is purified, he can rise to the orbit of the pole star, Dhruva Loka. Within this orbit, which is called the Shishumara Chakra, are situated the Aditya Lokas and the Vaikuntha planet within this universe. So here we are being advised that instead of just thinking that I'm this body and let me enjoy this body to the best capability, if we get a higher understanding that, okay, I am not this body, but I'm the soul. And after I give up this body, my journey is going to continue. I will continue to exist. I will continue to exist. It's not that my existence is going to be annihilated. And so with that mode, if we perform yagyas or sacrifices which enable us to go to this Vaishvanara planet, it is better then. Why? Because then at least there's a gradual elevation. We are not just in this earthly planet or falling down to the hellish planets. There's an elevation to a higher planet. And there, in this Vaishvanara planet, then can also from there reach to Brahmalok. Then, we can get purified. You see, in the higher planets, the association is better, the environment is better to get free from our passion and our ignorance. Then what's said? Then you get purified. Then we can go up to the Dhruva Loka, the Vaikuntha planet, which within this universe, enter this Shishumara Chakra, where there are these planets. So this is like a gradual elevation, which is better than just thinking that I'm this body and I'm going to enjoy myself to the best degree. And after I give up this body, after I die, anyway, I'm dead, nothing matters anymore. So a purified materialist who has performed many sacrifices, undergone severe penances, and given the major portion of his wealth in charity can reach such planets as Dhruvaloka. And if he becomes still more qualified there, he can penetrate still higher orbits and pass through the navel of the universe to reach the planet Maharlok, where sages like Bhrigu Muni live. So we can understand Maharlok, not easy to go live there. Bhrigu Muni is living there and it's so difficult. So we can understand his qualification. He's not ordinary personality, that we here on the earth are also hearing about him. So it's a purified materialist from Dhruva Loka, then he can go to Maharloka. That's the navel of the universe. In Maharloka, one can live even to the time of the partial annihilation of the universe. This annihilation begins when Anantadev, from the lowest portion in the universe, produces a great blazing fire. The heat of this fire reaches even Maharlok, and then the residents of Maharlok travel to Brahmalok, which exists for twice the duration of Parardha time. So there is every night of Brahma, there is a partial devastation. At the night of Brahma, when Brahmaji goes to sleep, the lower planets, means all the hellish planets, then these earthly planets, up to the Swargaloka planets, up to the heavenly planets, they all get destroyed. There's fire from Anantadev, then there's going to be inundation with water. So they all get submerged. They all get submerged. And so this heat comes up to Maharlok. So what do the inhabitants of the Maharlok do? They go up to Brahmalok to get relief from this fire which is there. And then they live in Brahmalok. They stay there for that duration. So we can see how this gradual process of the yogi is happening, how the yogi is practicing Ashtanga Yoga, practicing the Yam, Niyam, how he's raising his life heirs. It's not an easy process. It's not easy. But this is like a gradual elevation, and this choice is there. In Brahmalok, there is an unlimited number of airplanes that are controlled not by yantra, machine, but by mantra, psychic action. Because of the existence of the mind and intelligence on Brahmaloka, its residents have feelings of happiness and distress. But there is no cause of lamentation from old age, death, fear, or distress. They feel sympathy, however, for the suffering living beings who are consumed in the fire of annihilation. The residents of Brahmalok do not have gross material bodies to change at death, but they transform their subtle bodies into spiritual bodies and thus enter the spiritual sky. The residents of Brahmalok can attain perfection in three different ways. Virtuous persons who reach Brahmalok by dint of their pious work become masters of various planets after the resurrection of Brahma. Those who have worshipped Garbhodaksha Vishnu are liberated with Brahma, and those who are pure devotees of the personality of Godhead at once push through the covering of the universe and enter the spiritual sky. So here then again the yogi has reached Brahmalok, and Brahmalok also there is aeroplanes. These airplanes are not mechanical by machine, but they are controlled by mantra, by chanting of the mantra, means the action of mind and intelligence. So here we are being informed that the Brahmalok residents, they do not have gross bodies, but they have a subtle body. They have still the mind and intelligence, the false ego. And because of this subtle body, they feel happiness and they feel distress. They feel happy and they feel sad. Happiness and distress, they feel that. But they don't feel lamentation because they don't have the gross body. And they've seen now that, oh, all the lower planets are burnt. All the lower planets, the hellish planets, the earthly planets, the Swargalok planets, they're all destroyed. They're all destroyed. And the living, so they're feeling compassion for the living entities. So now what do? Here the Brahmalokas, in the Brahmalok, then depends what is their next destination. Then it depends how did they reach Brahmalok. Did they reach Brahmalok by doing a lot of pious activities? Because of pious activities, they came up to Brahmalok. Then when the next day the creation happens, again when Brahmaji is going to create the hellish planets, the earthly planets, the heavenly planets, then these pious living entities will become the rulers. They will become the rulers of the different planets. And then there are some living entities on Brahmalok who have worshipped Garbhodaksha Vishnu. They worship Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So they are liberated with Brahma. They're liberated. And then the pure devotees of the Lord, what do? They immediately, the pure devotees of the Lord, they go back to the spiritual world. So this is how a gradual elevation is happening from the earth planet right up to the Brahmalok, and then again the destination depends. So we can see always depends on our desire and our qualification. Our destination is being chosen. What is my desire? And do I have the qualification for it? So the numberless universes exist together in foam-like clusters, and so only some of them are surrounded by the water of the causal ocean. When agitated by the glance of Karana-Daksha Vishnu, material nature produces the total elements, which are 8 in number, and which gradually evolve from finer to gross. So we are giving so much detailed information of what's happening. Now, there's so many universes everywhere, and they're all clustered, all very next to each other. So, and where they are floating? They're floating on this Karana ocean, the causal ocean. And how does the creation happen? Is because just by looking, Karna-Daksha Vishnu, what he does is that he just glances and this creation is happening, the agitation is happening, the material, the elements are created. What are the elements? Elements are they gradually evolve from finer to gross. So the finest is the ether, sky. Then less fine is air. Then is fire. Then water. Then earth. Like that. But these are the gross elements. They are the subtle elements also, which are mind, intelligence, and false ego. So a part of ego is the sky, a part of which is air, a part of which is fire, a part of which is water, a part of which is earth. Thus, one universe inflates to an area of 4 billion miles in diameter. A yogi who desires gradual liberation must penetrate all the different coverings of the universe, including the subtle coverings of the 3 qualitative modes of material nature. One who does this never has to return to this mortal world. So we can see yogi, how he has to penetrate, that means. So our universe is there, right? This is our universe. Then it is covered by a layer of earth, which is 10 times greater than the size of the universe. Our universe size is 4 billion miles in diameter. Surrounding it is a layer of earth, which is 10 times greater. So that's like 40 billion then. Then this layer of earth is surrounded by a layer of water, which is again 10 times greater than the layer of earth. So then that becomes 400 billion. Then this layer of water is covered by fire, which is again 10 times. So it becomes 400 billion. And then that is surrounded by a layer of air. That is 10 times more. So that becomes 4,000. Then a layer of sky, which is, I'm losing count now, 40,000. Like that, it goes on. So we can see it's so difficult. And the yogi has to penetrate all this to get out of this material world. All this is material. Huh? So according to Sukadev Goswami, the above description of the material and spiritual skies is neither imaginary nor utopian. The actual facts are recorded in the Vedic hymns, and Lord Vasudev disclosed them to Lord Brahma when Brahma satisfied him. One can achieve the perfection of life only when he has a definite idea of Vaikuntha and the Supreme Godhead. One should always think about and describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for this is recommended in both the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad Purana. The Bhagavad Purana is Srimad Bhagavatam, which are 2 authorized commentaries upon the Vedas. Lord Chaitanya has made all these subject matters easier for the fallen people of this age to accept, and Sri Caitanya Caritamrita has therefore presented them for the easy understanding of all concerned. So now what the description of this, we first heard the description of the Vaikuntha skies. Then we were hearing how a yogi travels inside within this material universe and how he has to travel to penetrate this material universe to reach the spiritual sky. And all this is not imaginary, but it is factual. It is a fact which is recorded in the revealed scriptures. And so we are advised, Lord Chaitanya, he has made easy for us. Lord Chaitanya, he has made very easy for us. He said, just wherever you are, whoever you are, you chant Hare Krishna. You hear from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and you will go back home. You will leave this universe. You do not need to gradually elevate from one planet to another, because in Kali Yuga, we do not have that. We do not have such long lives. We do not have the discipline. We do not have those resources to be able to do it. It sounds like, oh my God, how could I even do this? So then what to do? So Lord Chaitanya has given us the easiest method. Just chant Hare Krishna, hear from Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and you will go back home, back to the spiritual sky. Is that okay?
Because the yogic process is very, very difficult. right? Because it's for 10,000 years they are doing, and that's why this was explained that this was the original thing that the yogis used to do in the Vedic time, and now that is not possible. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Yes.
Okay.
So the yogis, not only 10,000, some of them also 60,000. Like
Yeah.
Vishwamitra yogi, he was 60. So yogic process is a authorized process, Ashtanga Yoga. This is the process of Ashtanga Yoga, and it is very much authorized, yes, but it's not suitable for us, as you said. So we have to become bhakti yogis. We have to become bhakti yogis, take up the process of bhakti, and to easily achieve the highest destination.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.